Okay, I'm not done with this video yet. And like, literally, I'm fucking choked here, people. Okay, I want to talk about these cats, quote unquote, Wonder Cat and Little Mo. Okay? We know why Wonder Cat is coming around. Because Little Mo went into heat. I haven't been letting Little Mo out. And once we figured out why Wonder Cat was coming around, we just don't let him in. Okay? First of all, I can't stand cat spray. Not that I need any more freaking cats. Okay? And, I mean, males, that's what males do when females go into heat. Personally, I think Wonder Cat is maybe next door. Okay? Because they have cats next door. Alright? And, like, you know, another male came. Big, fluffy, black male also showed up. So, you know, mystery solved there. Alright. Little Mo showed up a day and a half after Mo fell off a, 30-story high-rise, people, after he wanted to say hi to me at 6:30 in the morning, but he was on the phone with his girlfriend, and she said, no, don't bother Mama Lynn. She, you know, it's 6:30 in the morning, why you want to say hi, right? Just, you know, leave her alone. So instead of going to his girlfriend's, for whatever reason, with the people he was with, convinced him, right, to go to this party up by the towers over here about 15 minutes away, and a half an hour from that point, he was dead with nobody noticing that he fell 30 feet down. He mysteriously did it to himself while everybody else was partying inside the suite, and they didn't notice. Nobody noticed. The only reason his body was found because daylight came and somebody was walking by and seen it lying on the ground while everybody upstairs on the 30th floor was still partying. Okay, and then what? Little Mo shows up. Hold on a minute. Okay, so anyway, that was Andre. I have to lock myself in. A fucking neighborhood is fucking freaky, man. If I don't got people walking into my house, literally people, when my door's open, stealing shit in my little fucking foyer there, right? They're stealing shit in the yard. Okay? Whatever. So anyway, Little Mo was in the garage. I guess Andre went, I don't know how it happened. I can't even remember. But I guess he goes down there and, you know, whatever, and he comes up the stairs, and she follows him, and he says, look, now there's cats in the garage, and it won't leave. I'm like, okay. And she, you know, whatever, and she wants to come in. And I'm like, oh, maybe she's hungry, right? We'll just see, right? We'll see. You have to remember, people, I live in a freaking neighborhood with a high concentration of people being evicted from their homes. And if they're not being evicted from their homes, literally, with all their shit thrown in a fucking bin, and the doors are locked and they can't, right? Or they leave, they do their midnight moves, people, and they leave their fucking animals, like their cats behind, or whatever it is, they just take off, you know, or you just freaking people on drugs, just whatever. Okay? So I feed the cat just gobbles it up, like literally, because it was starving. Okay? It won't leave. Alright. Okay. You know, snow came, whatever, it was kind of, you know, whatever, right? It's not like I'm going to start going from door to door to door to door to door, knocking, did you lose a cat? Did you lose a cat? Did you lose a cat? No, people, it's the owner's responsibility. If the owner is in the neighborhood, if the owner, quote unquote, is in the neighborhood, the owner should go from door to door to door and say, did you find a cat? Did you find, or at least put up a freaking sign or two, right? Andre, he goes to the store now on his own. He just went with his little friend. He walks over there to go get his friend. He's always looking around for a sign. Because I tell him, Andre, look around and see if somebody put a sign up, ask, you know, did you find a cat, lost cat, right? Because people do that, right? No signs. No signs over there, no signs down that road, no signs down that road, no signs at the freaking corner store, no signs. Nobody's looking for this fucking cat. All right. So we named it Little Mo, because it showed up right after Mo died, people. All right. She doesn't want to go. She puts everybody in place in terms of all the other cats. She's a little gobble guts. All she wants to do for the first week and a half is eat, 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 and nothing more than eat. And this cat will crawl up your freaking leg. Right? Like, you know, to open, when you go to open the cat box with the food, she turns into a little freaking demon. She acts like she never fucking ate. Sorry, Boo-Boo ate. Okay? So whatever, she's calmed down now. But then, okay, so, you know, I tell my neighbor, she says, well, across the street, there was somebody that was living there, and they did a midnight move, okay? And she said she witnessed, because I'm like, do you know anybody that lost a cat around here? It's not like I'm, you know, this, you know, right? I got cats, man. I've had cats forever. I've had cats disappear from my house. Purian disappeared from my house. Annabelle disappeared from my house. There was, I don't know, another cat that I had disappeared from my house. I've been in this house 13 years almost now, people. Mellow Fellow, when I first moved in, got hit by a car, people, because of this house. With him crossing over the road over there, because the lady over there, that cranky one that lived beside that little house when I had it, was feeding Mellow Fellow, and because she was feeding him, he was crossing over, and when he was coming back, because it was such a busy freaking road, he got hit. I found out about it, and I had to put him to sleep because he was so fucking mangled. Because of my neighbor over there. Whatever. So anyway, I asked my neighbor over here, I said, do you know of anybody that maybe lost a cat, right? You know? And she said, well, no, you know, but I did see a midnight move where they just drove off and left the cat sitting in the fucking driveway. I'm like, oh, well, did they ever come back looking for the cat? Not that I'm aware of. I said, oh, it's not unusual for people to abandon their cats, people. You know how many Toms I've had come to my house, live in my freaking yard? Boots 1, Boots 2. And there was another one, that black and white one. I think we just called him Tom. That's when I first moved in. I had to put that one to sleep. And crawled up on my doorstep, half dead. Didn't know what the hell was wrong with it. Took it to the vet. I didn't have $1,000. He was on his last legs. The vet said it didn't look good. I said, well, gee, put him out of his misery, for crying out loud. I'll pay for it if that's the case. Right? And he was a Tom. He never came into my house, but he lived in my yard for years, man, for years, because he was here before I moved in. All right. So anyway, I got a long history with fucking cats. So anyway, like I said, Andre, he's been going quite regularly to the store or to his friends or whatever. He goes out for walks with Uncle Marcane all the time, right? And I'm always saying, look around for signs. He comes back, he tells me he never sees anything. Ain't nobody knocking on my door asking for their fucking cat, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, all right. Then little Mo goes into heat. And then all of a sudden, Wonder Cat shows up. Oh my God. Well, what the hell is going on here? This is ridiculous. Now you have to remember, across the street from my neighbor over there, across the street, is those people that quote-unquote rescue cats. Okay, that's fair enough. We live in a area where a lot of people are abandoning their cats. You know, we need people like them, right? You know what I'm saying? They work for a cat rescue in Richmond where there's like 1,000, 2,000 cats running around on the property that's just made for cats, nothing more but cats. They themselves, in their like they live in a duplex, right? Between the duplex, there's something like 15 fucking cats already on that property because they love cats and they rescue cats and, you know, and whatever. Okay. Right? I asked my neighbor, well, do you think it's their cat? She said, no. Okay, how long have I had little Mo for? 2 months? 2.5 months? Right? It's been going on for a while now. This is her house. This is her home. No signs being put up anywhere in the fucking neighborhood. Nobody knocking on the door asking if we found a cat. Okay? Doesn't seem like anybody's too interested in this cat. All right? Like I said, I've lost cats in this house Why? I don't know. Could be coyotes. Could be people walking by picking up my cat as they go about their business. Could be the cat fucking ran away and decided to move into somebody's house. Who knows? All I know is Purian's gone. Annabelle. Annabelle was the coolest cat. You want to know what was special about Annabelle? She used to go to the bathroom on the toilet, people. Literally, I caught that cat doing it. She'd squat on the toilet and go to the bathroom on the toilet like a human being. So when she disappeared, I was choked. I thought that was cool. So anyway, it was amazing that cat did that. I don't know how she'd figured that one out, but she did. But, you know, when you have a cat that goes outside, that's the risks that you take. They can get hit by a car. I've had a cat fucking mangled and chewed up by coyotes and ripped the cat apart, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? And by the time I got to the cat, it was cat. There was no more cat, right? And we're talking years and years and years and years and years ago on that one, okay? We got Elsie on her deathbed because she's like 15, 16 years old, or however old Elsie is. I've had Elsie, oh God, forever, right? And like my son is spending $500 every 2 months taking Elsie to the vet, saying, "Oh, Elsie, Elsie, Elsie," and the vet's saying, "Well, she's getting old, you know. It's like there's not much you can do. You just gotta make her comfortable, and you know, and just it is what it is. She's old." And I told my son, just stop taking her to the vet to be told that she's old and she's dying, right? And just make it comfortable for her. So he does, people, and he's spending $500 a fucking pop on that. All right. So anyway, we figure out that Wonder Cat, right, is only reason he coming around is because of Little Mo and Heat, right? Pretty damn sure about it. Right along with that other black cat that's Puffy, which belongs next door. Okay. The only reason Wonder Cat isn't so aggressive about the situation is because he's an old fart. That's a very old cat, I think, right? In terms of, like, you know, he's slick though, right? You'll notice how he wormed his way in, but he's not homeless, okay? He's only acting on instincts. So anyway, Little Mo goes into Heat, and I'm like, holy shit, Tisha, well, maybe we should be thinking about getting her fixed, right? Because, you know, right? I'm not really interested in kittens at this point in life, right? And, you know, and so I got Tisha now on the phone, phoning around, making quotes, but it's more than likely her first heat, which is not necessarily a good thing. So basically, I just don't let her outside, and I don't let Wonder Cat inside, and I haven't even really seen him. So anyway, okay, so whether he's around or not, I don't know, because she's kind of coming out of her heat now. So, you know, that urgency isn't there like it was in the beginning, right? And, all right. You've seen what I'm doing, people. I'm holding down the fort. I'm working hard. Nobody's helping me, okay? You know, I'm minding my own fucking business. You know, I'm trying to stay strong, right? You know what I'm saying? And I get a knock on the door, and then I come to the door, and it's my neighbor across the street, the ones that work at that they do that cat rescue stuff, right? And they start asking me about a cat, right? They're fishing. They're fishing with the fish. They're the ones that do the cat rescue. Now, keep in mind, they already got a household full of cats. Every suite has cats. One person has 10 cats, another one has 5 cats, another one has 2 cats, another one has 3 cats. I don't know if that's the exact numbers, but everybody's got fucking cats, okay? Plus, they drive off to Richmond and they work with 1,000 or more cats whenever they're doing their charity work. Okay, I respect them for that. Okay, so they come to my door. They're hinting around on Wonder Cat. Now, I don't know if they watched my video or if it was my other neighbor that I talked to them. Okay? And they're asking me about Wonder Cat. And I'm like, what do you, like, they're asking me, well, you know, this cat, like, Tabby or whatever, and I'm like, what, the ones with the lines, right? He's got white paws. Like, you know, is that the one you're talking about? Because, like, there was another one, right, that showed up too, right? Oh, you got another one. Yeah, I had Little Mo show up, and then Wonder Cat, because Little Mo went into heat. Well, long story short, they're demanding me to give them Little Mo, because they're going to take Little Mo off to the fucking vet, get her fucking fixed, shots, everything, check her for chips, check her for whatever, you know, ask her, does she have a tattoo? We need to find her owner, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Where's the owner not knocking on people's doors? Where's the owner not putting up fucking signs? You do realize what neighborhood you live in, with people getting evicted out of their homes, people abandoning their cats, okay? You know, like I said, Tom was an abandoned freaking stray that lived in my yard, but refused to come inside my house. He used to I have video of him laying up on my porch, people. Tom, that black and white one, and then there was Boots, and Boots 2. Boots 2 was the real wild one. You could never catch that one. And he was black, right? And he was like completely fucking wild. But he always hung around because, you know, he was hungry, right? And so anyway, eventually he must have died because that one was a real feral. That's the one that needed to be rescued. So they're asking me to give them these cats. I said, well, first of all, I don't let Wonder Cat back in my house because plain as day, to see that the only reason he's coming around is because he thinks he's going to get some nookie. I didn't say it like that. I said it's because, you know, Little Mo's in heat. That's the only reason I think that cat's coming around. So I don't let it. And Andre, have you seen him? Andre said, yeah, he's seen him last night or something like that. But I haven't even been seeing him because I just haven't, right? Because she's coming out of her heat. Well, give us the other cat. I said, what? No. Why? Oh, well, because we're cat rescuers and we're going to rescue the cat and we're going to take it to the vet and we're going to see if it has a chip. Right? Because they asked if it had a tattoo and Audrey said, no, it doesn't have a tattoo. And I said, well, you can't do that because, first of all, right, as far as you know, that cat could have been abandoned. You don't know. Well, yeah, well, it's not your cat. You don't make that decision. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, actually I do because it showed up at my house and refused to leave. Right? It refused to leave. Okay? And it's not like I'm abusing the cat because it's being fed, it's being housed. And Andre is out and about looking for signs, right? And he's not just looking at one telephone post. He's looking throughout the whole radius of the block as if the cat lived within the radius of the block. Right? Going to the corner store, wherever, right? I already discussed it with my daughter as if I need to explain myself to you that I'm thinking to get her fixed. But now that you brought it to my attention, well, for sure, they can check to see if she has a chip. And if she has a chip, then they can fix their own cat and take it back. Otherwise, it's going to cost me $500. Like, what the fuck, man? Oh, well, we're going to call the SPCA. I said, go ahead. Like, fuck. What are they going to do? You call the SPCA on a fucking raccoon, they just walk away. Okay? They want to take the fucking cat? Well, take the cat, and they'll adopt it out to somebody else. That's what they'll do. So they can make money on it. That's what they'll do. And that thing will sit in a cage for how long? Oh, they're going to just hand him over to my neighbor and take him to fucking Richmond and throw him in with another 1,000 cats. And then, because now I'm arguing with them, I'm like, no, you just can't come into my house and start taking fucking cats. Right? Like, right? It's not like I kidnapped a cat. I didn't walk down the road, grab a cat and brought it home. It came to my house, people. Why do you think I call it Little Mo? I'm so mad. And then her husband, this is two of them, 2 against 1, right? Well, you're being a real bitch now. I said, bitch? You know, like, what the fuck? You know? I don't do that shit to you guys. Like, fuck, I don't bother you. Like, you right? Oh, well, you know, and I said, look, you guys never really liked me. How can you say that? We gave you food. Cat food. Because remember that one video back in the day, last year in the wintertime? Wasn't this winter, it was a year ago. Or whatever, it was when Pastor Granny was alive, around that time. They came because they were getting lots and lots and lots of donations from Costco's and places like that, right? So I guess they had a surplus. They had too much. That's what it was, people. With the frozen vegetables in terms of that frozen carrot, which was a knockoff because whatever, it's fine. I was grateful to have it. They gave me a box, right? And then they gave me some cat food. Okay, I'm still using the cat food. I'm at my last bag of that fucking cat food, right? And, because I buy also cat food. I get my son to buy cat food. So, you know, anyway, what? I said to him, so you give me some cat food and now I have to give you a cat? Like, no, that's not what we're saying. Oh my God. And then they just drove off in a fucking huff. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's so stupid. So fucking stupid. You just can't go up into people's houses and give me a cat, give me that cat, give me that cat, give me that. We're cat rescuers. Yeah, okay. I told him, you want to rescue a cat? Go rescue Elsie. She's dying. It's costing my son $500 every time he takes her to the fucking vet, for crying out loud. And he takes her almost every month. Because he's so stressed out about her dying. But she's old. So the vet says there's nothing we can do. Just make her comfortable. So that's what my son does. You show up at my door acting like I'm abusing cats. Like, for crying out loud. I don't fucking get it. Seriously. It's not that hard to put up a fucking sign around the neighborhood if that cat is even situated in this freaking neighborhood. Okay? For all we know, its master could have had a fucking overdose, murdered by fentanyl, with the coroner coming in with their body bags. Well, sorry, hammocks. They don't come in with body bags, these coroners out here. They just take the body in freaking hammocks with those perfusion machines. Remember that? And they leave everything else behind, including the fucking cats that become homeless in this neighborhood. So I'm not putting down my neighbors. I'm not saying that what they do is not important. Of course it's important, especially in this day and age with people dying left, right, and center, right? People getting evicted from their homes and they can't even take their animals with them. So you know what they do? They leave them out on the streets because they feel that's better for them than going to the SPCA and being locked up in a fucking cage and quite possibly being put to sleep because nobody wants them. So they set them free in the fucking neighborhood. And these people, they know that. So why they're doing this to me, I don't know, people, other than they're on fucking power trips. Like, it's pissing me off. Like, fuck that shit. So I got my camera ready for the SPCA to show up to come take the fucking cat. To do something that I can do when I get around to it. But I'm not obligated to do that. Because as far as I'm concerned, that cat was abandoned. Ain't nobody looking for that fucking cat in this neighborhood. Because if they were, we'd know about it. So they're wrong for doing what they're doing. Goes back to that class war. Right? That's what it goes back down to. It's okay for them to get their mother's life insurance policy, their superannuation life insurance policy after she died, because that was their mother. Okay? But when it came to Uncle John being medically kidnapped, and his being robbed away from him as they went after his family, us, Shmei, Sierra, Amari, so on, right? Oh yeah, that's just throwaway shit, right? That's nothing, okay? Better to sacrifice my family than their fucking family. Yeah. the epitome of what is right in society with the white picket fence and the poodle on the, oh sorry, with the cat on the side. Millions of fucking cats. You know? Serious. Because that's kind of the feel I get for it, right? I'll never live up to their expectations in terms of whatever they expect from people. And just because you give something to somebody doesn't mean that they like you, really like you, or respect you, okay? Don't get me wrong, I was grateful that a little bit of food and the cat food, but at the end of the day, I'm not obligated to hand over something that doesn't belong to them. If that cat wanted to be with them, it would have showed up on their doorstep, for crying out loud. It had plenty of choices to go to, people. And Andre is on the lookout for any kind of sign that somebody wants that animal. But as it is, ain't nobody putting out the fucking call for it. Except for maybe now the SPCA. Right? Sick the SPCA on me. Huh. Yeah, okay. Right. So you can go and feel good about yourself that you rescued a fucking cat. For crying out loud. Like, who does that? Okay. All I know is it's Thursday in January of 2023. Honestly, I don't know if it's the 25th or the 26th. I don't think it's the 24th. It's Thursday, though. When I turn on my computer later, I'll let you know, okay, exactly what the date is in terms of, is it January 25th or is it January 26th of 2023? Who knows? Either or. Okay, this is my little haven here. I feel like I'm out in the prairies in Alberta, in the farms, up by Mundare, Vegreville, because this wheat came from Alberta, and it came in at 55 pounds a bag, okay? And this is the hard, you can see, hard white wheat, spring wheat. Yeah, either or. You're looking for some hard white wheat, Shelly, I'm still going to keep talking to you, okay? Throughout this video anyway, because we're still, you know, talking about food prepping, and I'm just giving you some information into your hippocampus, you know, your short-term memory, so you can log it away into your long-term memory, and then eventually, you know, as you're going about your day over the course of the next 1 to 2, 3, 4 years, you will remember, okay? You won't have to look at my video because you will remember. Okay, so we got another one, right? So we've got 110 pounds of hard white wheat, which are going into 5-gallon buckets. I'm sorry, 6-gallon buckets. Okay, we're going to talk about this for a minute. Hold on, I'll show you this too. There are those Great Northern beans. Now, I don't think these are organic. They're non-GMO. I'm pretty sure. Where am I getting this? I'm seeing shadow. Here we go. Oh, what's the shadow? Where's the shadow coming from? Is it coming from the camera? Do you see that shadow? Where's that shadow coming from? I see shadow. I don't know. No, I can't see. And what do we got? Locally grown in Alberta. Sustainable. Grown. Prairie produced. Best before December of 23. Only because they have to put a best before date on it. But it is wheat. It can last for 25 years or more, depending on how you store it. Okay? I want to talk about these Gamma lids here. Okay. Now this company from Bryden Solutions, really good Gamma lids, okay? The only issue that I have with them is the glue that they use to glue this crap on. So what I find for these bigger lids, what works best to get rid of them easily, you fill up your bathtub with some warm soapy water, you put them in there and you soak them for over 24 hours. Seriously. And then after that, the paper will start coming off, the glue will be really saturated, and then as you're taking off the paper, there's still going to be little residue on certain ones. Some not so much than others, and even then, right, it's sticky. Where am I? Oh, my eyes are so bad today. Here we go. Okay? So, when they're in the water, and you let them soak for over 24 hours, okay, or more, you take off the paper, you take your nail, like this, and rinse, take a rag. Chances are you're going to get rid of this crap that lingers, okay? This was one of the first lids that I got. Now, you can go off and buy label remover, which I have in my room, to which I may have to go get, because I find if I soak these and do it that way, they come off better, and you get less of that gooey shit. Whereas with the white lids, I don't know. They come in the same way. Now, this, I just got 7 more of these small buckets. So this time I'm going to soak these in, you know, hot soapy water, right? Take off the ring. There's a little rubber ring here. Okay? And then put that in the sink or wherever, because, you know, they're smaller, right? Hot soapy water, and or in the bathtub or wherever, because you need your sink all the time or whatever, and soak them for over 24 hours and see if you get the same result. Otherwise, if you only soak them for a little while, look at my fingers sticking. Do you see what's happening here? And I'm taking them and everything, and nothing seems to be working. So I'm thinking to maybe try a little bit of just straight up bleach on a rag and try that. I do have label remover in my room. If the bleach doesn't work, I will try that. Otherwise, I would highly recommend just letting nature take its course and putting them in water, a little soapy warm water, hot water or whatever, you know, for over 24 hours or more. And then you'll find that they'll come out cleaner, because I just washed like a whole bunch because I just ordered and they came in. I ordered 5 more, and here's another thing I want to mention. Now, if you notice this bucket, I got a few of those kicking around because, you know, I go out and about once in a while, wherever, to the, you know, to the corner store, and I see people put their stuff out in the road and they don't want it. So I found a whole bunch of buckets and brought them home. Initially, I was going to use them for the greenhouse, right? To replace the buckets I have in there for when I grow plants. Okay, so whatever. Anyway, I grabbed a few. I brought them inside, right? Washed them, okay? These are used buckets. Obviously came from a restaurant at some point, and they're food grade, right? Okay, long story short, I put on a Gamma lid on one. I closed it, waiting for this stuff to come in. Opened it, and I could smell something because it's right in the bucket. Opened up this one, no smell. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, when you get used buckets, some of them may retain their smells, whatever they had in them initially, who knows, right? Because if it's a vinegar or something like that, because, you know, these are different food buckets, had different food in them. And somebody just tossed them without the lids, and I just brought them home because I was going to grow tomato plants in them. Turns out, though, that I'm doing this instead with them, right? And so anyway, just keep that in mind. So you might want to, over a period of time, invest into new buckets, okay? But don't think that you have to just, that's the only thing you can use. I think that's what my videos are showing you more than anything, is that you can do a little of this and a little of that and a little of that, and you know, and it all comes together, okay? So anyway, these here are not organic as far as I know. I'm pretty sure they're non-GMO though. Not everything has to be organic. Right? 25 keys is 55 pounds. Right? So 55 pounds is going to fill up 2 buckets, 6-gallon buckets for me for long-term food storage, to which I'll put them in buckets straight up in Mylar bags. I'm going to do them different. I'm not going to vacuum seal them separately. I'm going to just try and do it different for convenience purposes. Plus you can do it this way as well, right? Not everything has to be in a paper bag vacuum sealed the way I had it in the other video I showed you, but it works. Okay, you see, that's the thing. So when I'm down there continuing to, you know, rearrange, I'm probably going to take those vacuum sealed little bags of wheat, corn, barley, whatever's in them, and I'll just take those packages and just put them in a Mylar bag that's already in another bucket, and then just label the bucket, and then they're off, they're out of the cardboard box, and they're insulated from the elements 2 times, right, with a good lid on it to keep rodents out in the event that you get a mouse in the house. Right. Okay, I'm on a mouse hunt down there. So I told my son already, go buy mice traps. Yeah, I'll set a couple of little traps in there after I'm said and done, or even before. It depends how long it takes for him to go buy it for me, because I don't really get out, right, unless I get out and I come across them. Okay, so anyway, now the Great Northern beans, we're going to look at them right now, just for the sake of looking at them. And, what do you call it? I'm just filling up 1 bucket completely. Well, I'm going to do 1 2-gallon bucket first, is my go-to, because it's a staple that I want to use as a base for other foods, because it helps to control blood sugar, right, and the spiking of it, which would be a good staple for Amari for his diet in terms of preventing seizures, because the spike of blood sugar can trigger seizures, right? As well as it controls, you know, diabetes, or helps to prevent it, one or the other. Right? Right along with the Cantatelli bean, which is coming in. That's only at 25 pounds. So this is where I have to do, like, I just know me, right? I'm not going to feel satisfied until I have what I want. To which I'm going to show you here. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. $115 for 50 pounds, something like that, which is a good deal, really, when you think about it. So I'm going to fill up a little 2-gallon bucket, and whatever's left is going in here, but it's not going to be nearly enough. So I'm going to have to order this again, which I already knew that. You see, that's the thing. But once I do it one more time and fill up this bucket, and then bag up the rest and just whatever, you know, I feel satisfied in terms of once I start implementing it regularly into the diet in terms of that staple, no matter what's going on around me, right, in terms of what's going on in the grocery store or what's not going on in the grocery store, it's not going to affect me, right? And it's good for my family. Same thing with this wheat, okay? Now, there's not too many other wheats that I need to buy because I already got them. So, as I'm sorting out Auntie Shemai's room, I just organize everything, right? And, you know, I got one more bag of the oat groats coming in to make one full bucket with those miscellaneous that I already have, so I'm good there. I don't need to buy rolled oats. I got rolled oats all over this house. I've got oat groats, so there's, right, and now we've got the dates, okay? So the wheat, I will probably do a double order again, because it's the hard white wheat. Although I may call them up and I might ask them what's the difference between hard white winter wheat compared to hard white spring wheat. But this is where beggars can't be choosy, because you could be waiting for a long time for that hard white winter wheat to where it doesn't come, and then when you finally go to buy the hard white spring wheat, there'll be nothing left and it's gone. And then the next time you want to order, you're going to be paying more because of the cost of living and what our governments are doing to us. Right? This is why this distributor said, you know, like, don't listen to people squawking on you. Your son will thank you one day. He really will. You know, I'm still mad at my son because, you know, I asked him to carry down these, you know, these buckets. Oh, well, there's no space where I'm going to put them. I said, well, what the hell do you think I've been doing down here all day? You know, that's what I'm doing. I'm working like fuck, man. Like, he doesn't even know how hard I fucking work just so that I wouldn't bother him when he got home from work. And he couldn't even just help me without complaining to carry down 2 fucking buckets. Like, what the it makes me so mad, people, you don't even know. So now, I'm going to make these. Now, I got old beans kicking around the house, to which, when I done doing all this stuff, and I actually get a chance to start making quote-unquote bean burgers, right? Then that's when I'll combine maybe some old beans with some newer beans, just to get rid of them, right? Or maybe I grind them up into flour, bean flour. That's the thing about beans. Even if they go old, you can still eat them. They take a little longer to cook, and they're maybe not as soft as they used to be, but you can still eat them. Or you can freaking grind them up if you want, and then make something with them and still eat them. So just because a bean is old doesn't mean that it's bad, okay? Just remember that. Alright? And if you're that concerned about it, take some new beans, throw in some old beans, mix them up, and nobody would know the difference. For anyone that wants to sit up there and complain as they're eating. Okay? You know? Like, shut the heck up. Be thankful you have food in your mouth, damn it. Right? There we go. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have 1 bucket of Great Northern beans. And I'll have 1 little 2-gallon bucket of the Cantatelli beans, which are almost similar in nature. Almost. As we get to that point when we're actually working with these beans, maybe I'll write out a chart or something. Like, I'm always thinking, you know, you need to write a chart so people can see, right? But it's not, I don't have time, okay? But definitely we'll talk about the different properties that each bean has, right? Okay? Because, you know, there we go. I was washing buckets at 4:30 this morning. Oh my Lord. But it's done. Okay, so now I'm going to take these beans. I'm going to fill it up into this bucket with just a Mylar bag. And at some point over the next 3 to 4 weeks, after I'm caught up with everything, and I've got nothing left to do when it comes to this stuff, basically, that's when I'll top off with another bag of Northern Great Beans, Cantatelli beans, which those ones are organic, and 2 more bags of hard white wheat. But before I do that, I'm going to figure out what's the difference between winter and spring wheats under the title of a hard white wheat. Is there a difference? I don't know. Okay? So, in a world where food becomes scarce, this is nice. Now, it looks like I might be able to get this lid on. So basically, this got me a 6-gallon full of those beans and a full 2-gallon, okay? So that's 8 gallons of Great North beans, right? Great Northern beans. Now, just because they're organic, just because they're not quote-unquote listed as organic, doesn't mean they won't sprout. So we're going to see if they'll sprout for me, just for the sake of it. Okay? Okay. Oh, God, I don't even know what day it is. It's Friday. January of 2023. I think it's the 27th or something like that. Working hard here, people. Okay, Shelly, still talking to you here, okay? So, anyway, I'm not no guru on a Mylar bag, but I googled Mylar bags. You know, are they good for long-term food storage, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it turns out that a Mylar bag is actually made from polyester, even though it looks metallic. Although there are metallic bags similar to a Mylar bag where it has an aluminum coating on the inside to give it that extra protection. So because this is a polyester, it's still somewhat breathable to some degree. Okay? So anyway, when I was in Auntie Shimei's room, okay? I'm tired. I've been up since 2:30 this morning, and it's like going on 9. Ooh, which reminds me, I need to go do my eyes. And I've been like just a busy bee all morning, washing dishes, washing jars. I've got some more milk here, whole milk and skim milk. 22 pounds a bag. I get it from Medallion Milk. And I bought 1-gallon jars, and I'm keeping it simple on I'm just putting them into those 1-gallon jars, and they're going downstairs in the box, and I've got my backup. Okay. I'm just keeping busy here, okay? Like I said, I'm topping off on just whatever as I'm organizing Auntie Shimei's room. Now, when I looked up Mylar bags and, you know, are they good for long-term food storage? Anyway, the subject of, because I like to read people's comments, because oftentimes you get people like me coming in with our own experiences over a period of years as to what works and what doesn't technically work, and what we've tried and or whatever, right? So anyway, I came across a post where, you know, somebody mentioned, like, when I opened up those boxes with the corn that were in the brown paper bag and then vacuum sealed, and after 2 years sitting in a dormant state, okay, as well as the wheat or whatever else, the barley, and, you know, the steel-cut oats, or there's buckwheat, okay. The majority of those bags that I did back in those days, they held their seals. Okay? And because I used paper bag, right, I used it for 2 reasons. Well, maybe 3. I used it, one reason, so that when I vacuum sealed, the paper bag kind of gave a little bit of a protection to protect the plastic so it wouldn't get punctured. That's not to say it doesn't get punctured, because wheat can be pokey, right? You know, certain things can be little pokey, so it can puncture your bag, and that's how air gets in. Either or. It's not going to destroy your wheat, right? It's just not, because I've got wheat sitting in jars underneath my cupboard that have been sitting there for years, and they're fine, right? But you want to protect it, especially if you're not going to get to it for a while, or whatever it is you're thinking. Okay. 2, well, I guess you could say to keep the light out, right? In terms of, it's in a box, in a plastic bag, in a brown paper bag, in a dark room, in a cool place. So for light to penetrate is almost nil to none, okay? And then to insulate the food inside the plastic, okay? It was just a soft barrier, a mild barrier to moisture, but not, because the problem with paper is an absorbent to moisture. Okay, that's what paper does, right? As soon as you get paper in like outside or in a damp location, the paper starts to absorb the moisture in the air. But because I was vacuum sealing, taking out the air, I wasn't really too concerned about it. Okay? And, you know, 2 years later, or whenever I did those little pouches, I mean, some go further back than that. I mean, they're perfectly fine. And I know that whatever's inside is in a very good dormant state. So, reading the comments, somebody said that the way I did it was probably better than just using a Mylar bag in terms of what I'm doing right now. Now, what I'm doing right now, sure, it's fast and it's easy. It's a bit expensive because you have to, you know, right? And, you know, I mean, you can go with those lids that you can hammer on, and you can try and buy one of those lid openers, but they break, and, you know, it's such a freaking hassle. I definitely recommend these Gamma lids. They're so much better. And, you know, being that I had a Gamma lid on a bucket from when I found one back in the day, it must have had pickles in it or something. I'll have to read the label on it, because when I opened up the Gamma lid, the residue smell in the bucket is still there after all this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some straight up bleach, and I'm just going to saturate it with bleach. I'm going to let it sit like that for several hours to try and kill off that odor, right? And even then, if it's a vinegar that sat in that bucket, in terms of a big bucket of pickles or something, and that's the way it was manufactured and shipped to the, you know, consumer, well, you might not ever get rid of it, right? Because it's in plastic. Okay, that's why I try to avoid plastic, and that's why I like to use a lot of jars, because you don't get that problem with jars, right? In terms of absorbing smells. I mean, you can buy a jar of pickles and you can wash it, and, you know, even then the vinegar can linger in a jar. So, okay, so let's get back to what I'm talking about. So what I'm doing right now, I've been like working like a Mad Dixon's, right? Because I give myself to the end of February with my basic top-offs and, you know, having the room organized and just the whole 9 yards, right? So I'm taking advantage of these Mylar bags as is, and I've been throwing in a lot of wheats. I've done 2 buckets of the white hard wheat. I've done, I don't know, my son took them downstairs already. There's 3 of them down there, and there's 2 other ones that I have to do something with, because I don't like the lids that are not even sealed. So I have to rebag them and do something, right? And basically what I've been doing is I just been taking that raw wheat or whatever, even the chickpeas, I filled this straight up, you know, gave it its own. I use the greens for the wheats and the oats and that type of thing, and I'm using the orange lids for beans or, you know, whatever. And I've got 2 yellow lids and I've got 2 blue lids. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet in terms of, you know, I figure maybe blue, like it will be like dehydrated blueberries or something, you know, a big bloody bucket full, right? You know, maybe that's what I'll do this year coming up in this summertime. I'll send my son to the farms 2 times in a row and I'll just dehydrate a whole bunch of blueberries, right? Who knows? Anyway, but as I'm doing this, you know, like honestly, I don't even really want to throw an oxygen absorber in there, you know, after the fact, right? You know, I'm getting everything ready and I've got them. It's not like I don't have them, but I don't know. Like, I honestly, if I had to say what I feel most comfortable with is putting them in a brown paper bag and vacuum sealing them, and then, you know, preferably get them out of a cardboard box, because if you get a mouse coming in or a rat or something, easy for them to chew through a cardboard box and then chew through the bag, right? To get to your food, because they smell it. That's what it is. They smell it, right? So, you know, I don't know how well those little bags, because now that I've been down there, like, I'm probably going to take those vacuum sealed bags of whatever they are and take them out of the cardboard box and put them into more than likely a Rubbermaid bin or something like that, right? Even though it's not food grade, it doesn't really matter at this point, because you've got bag in bag, right? You've got the paper bag insulated in with the plastic bag, which is, you know, pretty much all food grade. And you know, the Rubbermaid bin is more to keep the mice out. It definitely wouldn't keep out a rat, but a mouse to chew through that would be quite difficult, right? And you want to make sure that they can't crawl in from underneath and get in, right? Because you know, it can happen, right? So, you know, but to put them in a bucket after I vacuum seal them and stuff, just because of the way it's, I don't think I'd get much in a bucket doing it that way. You know, I don't see, because it's not uniform, right? So, you know, I've got, oh my God, I don't know, 44 pounds of spelt in a bag over here. And spelt is a wheat that doesn't rise very well. But again, it's good for controlling blood sugar spikes and diabetes, or perhaps even preventing it if you don't have it, if you were to eat it regularly, right? And you can use it for like crackers, and you know, you only mix in like a third or a quarter cup to whatever it is that you're making, and it just helps to it's easy. It's the most easiest wheat to digest. So I bought extra, and I have some downstairs, right? But I just want to, like I said, top off. So, you know, I'm like, as I'm filling up these Mylar bags, you know, zipping them, getting them downstairs, thinking I'm going to be going from bin to bin to bin, throwing in an oxygen absorber, and then just, right? I don't really quite feel that comfortable about it. I just feel taking the air out, not so much the oxygen, because you have to remember these things breathe, right? They're you can sprout them. So they like air, right? You know, a little bit anyway, right? You know, I don't know. They breathe out oxygen, and they breathe in what we breathe out in terms of a living plant, right? I don't see I mean, the only reason you'd really use an oxygen absorber is just to prevent molds and that type of thing. But if you insulate whatever it is that you're packaging up, I mean, it'd have to get pretty damp. So anyway, I don't know. I just know that I'm glad that I'm coming to the end of this, because I don't want to be stressing out about this shit too much, especially towards the end. Although I am because, you know, I don't want to have to buy any more after this. Now, I bought these beautiful Cantatelli beans that are organic. And the last organic chickpeas that I bought, I just poured them straight into the Mylar bag, because what happens is they go in and they, you know, they conform to the bucket, and you shake a bit and it gets a little, so it goes in nice that way. But I just I don't know. And now I'm finding out it's more like a polyester, you know, man-made product. Well, whatever. You know, would it be better in a cotton sack, a potato sack? I don't know. Right? I mean, air can still get in it, but with these buckets, with these gamma lids, like when I opened up that one bucket that is compromised, oh boy, I could really tell, right? So these gamma lids seem to lock things in pretty good. I'm actually thinking to maybe put the food, if this makes any sense, for the ones that I'm not going to be opening for a year or two, right? Okay, get them in the Mylar bag, Ziploc them, you know, just take out as much air as you can just by pushing everything down. And then when I'm ready to throw on the gamma lid, I'm maybe just thinking to throw the oxygen absorber on top of the Mylar bag on the outside, so that it takes the air out of the bucket itself versus what's inside the bag, right? Versus throwing it in the bag, you know, because there's no guarantee that it's even going to work anyway, per se. Right? I mean, some people say it helps, other people say it doesn't, so I don't know. And in terms of my beans, you know, I'll pay good money for this shit, especially these days, because it's getting more and more expensive compared to what it was a few years back, right? You know, I'm almost tempted to vacuum seal my Cantatelli beans in the brown paper bag into the vacuum sealer bag. And then, you know, whether I put them into a bucket or whether I put them into a box or whether I put them into a bin remains to be seen. However, it's just easier and faster for me. I already got the bucket. I got the Mylar bags just to throw everything in there and be done with it, right? So, I'm just pointing this out to you. If you got time, right, you know, it takes a day to go through a few boxes, right, to vacuum seal into paper bags with the vacuum seal bags. Either or, you're spending money in terms of how you're going to save long term, right? And then, of course, try and rotate if you can, right, when you can, you know. But at the end of the day, even if beans become old, you can still, like I said, you can still cook them. They just take a little longer and they might not be as tender. Or you can cook them and then dehydrate them, and then you can grind them up and make bean flour. Okay, so you're not losing. So, and there is a chance that some of them, if they're organic, still might sprout. And even if they're not organic, they still might sprout. So, you know, I wouldn't worry about, well, gee, I might not get to my beans for another 5 or 7 years or whatever the hell it is. You're not wasting any money that way. You know, it's just, right? They say the nutritional value goes down, but I don't think it goes down that much, right? In terms of once it's locked in, and if it's out of the light, out of the air per se, you know, I mean, there's only so much air in a vacuum sealed bag, right? Apparently these Mylar bags can, you know, even though you throw an oxygen absorber in there, doesn't mean that it's working or that the Mylar bag is going to stay sealed, right? You know, whereas if you vacuum seal, if the bag busts, gets compromised because a little kernel poked it or whatever, you're going to see it because it's going to be goopy, right? It's not going to be hard and like a rock, like what I showed you when I was opening up those boxes that I had vacuum sealed years ago, okay? And even then, that's not to say that what's inside the bag that's been popped, I guess you can say, is bad. The only thing that would be bad about it is, one, it has bugs. As soon as you open it up, pour it out, you're going to see the bugs. Doesn't matter what kind of freaking bug it is. Or you're going to smell and see mold. And in those situations, it's chicken food. Well, I don't know about chicken food for mold, but definitely compost. Right? Birds will eat what they want. If they don't like it, they're not going to eat it, right? So I just wanted to say that in terms of like don't be too quick to run off and buy these Mylar bags thinking they're a save-all to everything, because maybe not so much. So with that said, now I'm thinking, well, because I've been pouring this shit into the Mylar bags and just, you know, sealing them up and getting them ready to take down, to open them and throw a little oxygen absorber and just go from bucket to bucket. And I mean, I'll probably still do that, right? But at the end of the day, I haven't really been feeling it, you know? It's not my method here. And so before I get too far into it, now I am thinking to maybe try something different here. I have this spelt in a bag. You can see it's right there. I think it's 2 bags. I got 2 bags. Anyway, I got two bags of this. Can't really see, I don't have my glasses on. Yeah. And I got 2 bags of spelt. Now, if I open up those bags of the spelt and fill this up... Hold on a minute. Okay, Shelly, I wasn't going to upload this video. I almost feel like deleting it, really, from the camera. Because, you know, like... I don't know. I'm going to put it on me for a second. I don't even know why I'm doing these videos anymore. Seriously, like, I'm glad I'm doing them for you, Shelly. You know, because the United States, I don't know. It's pretty messed up. I'm not saying Canada's not messed up. It is, okay? Welcome to the new Congo. I don't know what's worse, the United States of America and their Congo shit, or Canada and our Congo shit, because I wouldn't wish whatever's happened to my family all these years for anybody else to go through, but that just seems to be the fucking norm around here, okay? So in the meantime, you know, I've put a lot of effort into my videos. I know it doesn't look like it, right? You know, because don't dress up, I don't put on makeup, I don't curl my hair, you know, I'm not wearing fucking fancy clothes, and I ain't got, you know, freaking, you know, witch's claws, and just none of that shit, right? And I don't try and be the perfect woman here, you know, just whatever, right? Okay, you know, but you know, like, YouTube's priorities are like messed up, man. My channel stays with the same, because I'm being shadow banned, people. Seriously, after all this freaking time, okay? Like, I have seen, and this has happened to other people on YouTube as well, with the bigger channels and whatever. You know, the views are coming in, and then they're shedding, okay? I have seen where I've had views, and I come back later and look, and they've dropped, okay? And not only that, but, like, you know, like, my numbers don't grow. I mean, what am I supposed to fucking talk about? Like, it seems like if you gossip and you put other people down constantly and talk about the same shit over and 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 over again, you do really well on YouTube. If you're a fucking Satanist with your little sign signals and all this other shit, no names mentioned here, okay? You know, you do really good, right? If you're lewd and you're obnoxious and you're an instigator that doesn't take no responsibility, but you want to sit up there and play a fucking victim, even though you're up there in the mix stirring up the pot, being that instigator, like, it's just stupid. Like, you know, and like, what there's enough prepping videos in terms of putting a fucking bag in a bucket, throwing some wheat in there, put on a freaking lid. I mean, don't need to watch that from me, right? Like, it's beyond that now. At least before, I had a reason to do videos in terms of the foundation and, you know, promoting goodwill and universal school meal program, family programs, community programs, school restoration, whatever it was. You know, waving the American flag, waving the Canadian flag, you know, trying to help the disenfranchised, whatever it was. You know, it kept me going for years and years and years and years and years, looking like a freaking idiot as I'm being preyed upon by the people in my own freaking community, trying to run me out into no man's land so that they can pillage my life, my kids, harvest their organs, you know, kidnap John, right? You know, destroy his life, destroy everybody else's life around him when it came to his family, us. I'm not like, who cares? Nobody's watching, looking a little here, a little there. But it's nothing nobody's interested in. Shelley, I know you are. You say you appreciate it. Lucy says, you know, I inspire her, but it's at the point where it just doesn't matter anymore. Like, it really doesn't. Like, I'm tired of being YouTube's bitch. You know, they're fucking fool, okay? You know, they're fucking, what is that called? Like, it's like the one with those little 3 bells, you know, and a little jester, right? That kind of fool. Like, seriously, you know, while they prop up fucking lewdness, child exploitation, you know, freaking gang stalking, threats, public humiliation, you know, just, ugh. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. Who cares about... Let them go hungry when the shit... Oh, I know, they make good money on YouTube, right? They'll never go fucking hungry, so who cares, right? You know what I mean? Because clearly that's all they think about is themselves. Nothing more and nothing less. And the more you think about yourself and nothing more and nothing less, the more successful you're going to be. Not that I'm trying to be successful on YouTube, but I'm tired of being YouTube's fucking bitch. Right? As they prop up fucking murderers, people... or instigators to murder, just, you know, right? As they're then flipping the script and acting like they're the freaking victims? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So that's why I just, like, I don't know. But in light of what I'm doing here and been doing and where I'm going with it, I might as well freaking finish it, right? You know what I'm saying? So in terms of that, that's why I turned this stupid camera back on. Okay, instead of vacuum sealing into paper bags and then trying to stuff all those little bags into here. Like, I'm tired. I told you, I'm coming to the end of my game here. I'm breathing in the smell of this. This is, it's called spelt. And it's sweet. It's actually quite sweet, but it's dusty. Right? Anyway, what I've done, it's in a nice paper bag. You can see it's double layer, right? Which will add more insulation. So I took some out, took the bag, what was a little bit in there, put it in there, and I'm filling it up. And then what's going to end up happening here, and probably as far as I can go, well, maybe just a bit more, because you got to leave a bit of room for these lids, right? And then what's going to end up happening here, because this one's going into long-term food storage, because I already got spelt downstairs, probably in paper bags, vacuum sealed, more than likely, okay? Which will be fine for what I need. So then I'm going to fold this up, right? Probably just give it a bit of tape. And then later, when I'm ready, when they're all downstairs and ready to go, I'll just go from bucket to bucket and throw it in an oxygen absorber. 1500 cc or more. And that will be it. It is what it is. Right? It won't be opened for a long time. I just got this extra 50 pounds just so it's there, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because I do plan on incorporating it more into the diet for Amari's sake. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Because of his digestion problems. Right? But, you know, right? Because I don't want to constipate him with a lot of wheat. Oh my God, I'm talking about Amari. I said constipation. What? Is YouTube going to put no comments allowed on my freaking channel, but yet go to another channel and they're talking all kinds of lewd shit? And that's all they do is lewd, and make threats and gang stalk other people just so that they can get 8,000 views? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Primetime fucking YouTube bullshit. That's what it is, people. As my channel doesn't move. Yeah. As I'm being fucking stalked by a person who murders. Okay? By a murderer. And YouTube props that shit up. Literally. Fucking props that shit up as it protects the province of British Columbia, Canada, with their freaking bullshit. Okay? Don't think I forgot about any of that. So honestly, I just want to focus on what I need to do in terms of just getting this all freaking put away. Be done with it already. For what it's worth. I think I've done plenty for what it's worth. Yeah. I'm tired of being a puppet. I don't know why I'm in such a miserable mood, but I'm just tired of being a puppet. A puppet for nothing. Absolutely nothing. Wait for the next attack. That's about it. But you got all that beautiful food, Shelly, so I'm just giving you another option as to how to deal with it. You know, what you have there isn't nearly enough. Okay, you're going to have to get a little more serious than that. That's just to start it, okay? Just to get you hooked to it, to take it serious. And just, you know how they say, bite the bullet, ride that bull, right? You know, go for the long mile. Right, you're going to win that marathon. Yeah, that's what it's there for. It's just to help you get started and not be afraid to follow through on it. Because after a while it gets a little obnoxious, but once it's all said and done, you know, there are rewards to it, right? But you don't get no love for it, that's for sure. No. So, I like the idea of the paper bag. I don't know how well it will hold up, but I think just giving it that little extra insulation in light of what a Mylar bag actually is when it comes to quote-unquote polyester, and you know, it's not fail-safe when it comes to air, keeping out air. I'm not too worried about keeping out oxygen per se, because this stuff comes in pretty clean, right? And so I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this, that's all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end up folding this over, tack it in a few places with a little bit of tape to hold it, Ziploc it, and then when the time comes to go from bucket to bucket to bucket, because I have several of these now, right? Then I just open up a small little piece, throw the oxygen absorber in there, with whether it has a bag or not, because some of them don't have bags, but I'm going to be doing this in a bag. I've got another, I guess, 50 pounds of oat groats coming in, because that's my last order for a long, long time, which will last a long, long time in a situation like I'm showing you here. Okay. I just feel more comfortable. So save your paper bags. Okay. Now, these Cantatelli beans, they came in with a white bag, which is bleached. So, probably because they're white, maybe they were afraid that a brown paper bag might stain them or something. I don't know. But I don't know if I'd want to store them in a white paper bag. But I'm going to put them in a Mylar bag. But I want to insulate them. Do you see? So that bag is bleached, whereas this bag is not. This is the better bag. Okay? Maybe I'm just mad. Because I keep hurting myself. These little rims, you have to push them on. And it hurts because I'm not strong enough. And I've done like, how many of these? At least 14 of these. And I still got a few more to go yet. Because I did 7 and then 5. And I've got 1, 2, 3. So that's 7 and 5 is 12. So I've done, what, 15 so far? And I probably have another 3 or 4 more buckets of these kind. And I'm done. So pushing these on, I have to pull my, like this. Alright, I'm getting, so far I haven't gotten any water blisters yet. But boy, does it hurt. And then these bigger buckets. Oh man, I've even done a few of these. I had my son do a couple of them, but I don't want to bother him too much, right? So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just mad because I keep hurting myself. Who knows? No, I'm disgusted with YouTube. That's what it is. Like this, I don't know. I'm tired of just, I don't know. I don't know what the point is anymore. Right? It doesn't. You know, people mock me. They mock my life. Right? I'm tired of it. I don't know why, but they do. Not all people, but a lot of people do. I don't know if this is completely on. You want to make sure it's clipped in good. Oh, I think it is. But I did say I'd come back with that Wonder Mill, right? With my attachments. But what is the point? Seriously, what the fuck is the point? I don't know what the point is anymore. Doesn't seem to be a point. That's the problem. Don't know what I'm trying to accomplish here. Oh, sure. So, now, I don't know if I'd necessarily use this bag for these Cantatelli beans because it has its own smell now because of what was inside of it, right? So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these Cantatelli beans yet. Right. I don't know if I should put them in paper bags and individually seal them up that way and vacuum seal them, right? Because that's kind of the best, right? Versus relying on an oxygen absorber. I don't want to rely on oxygen absorbers. I'm not even really comfortable putting them in these buckets, but it's just basically wheat for the most part. There's one bucket of chickpeas. There's the other bucket of the Norway great beans. I'm Googling online, double checking, making sure, right? Whatever. So I might be vacuum sealing these Cantatelli beans yet, which is more work, right? And right now I don't want to work. I just want to get it over with. There's other things I need to do. So it's a debate. It's hard to say. And I can put them in a bucket, in a Mylar bag for now. And then later on when I have time, I can backtrack and do it that way. Like, I don't want to order any more. I got 50 pounds. That's enough for now. Because I've also got the Great Northern beans there. 50 pounds or whatever the hell it was. So that's more than enough for that staple, right? For now. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, what's the date today? Hold on a minute. Okay. I'm going to finish this video. I'm trying so hard, you don't even know, to be positive here. Okay, I know it doesn't look like it, right? But in light of the sign of the times, there's got to be no regrets here. So basically, before I get on the floor and sit my ass down and talk to you for a minute, we're just going to run through this. Shelly, if I have your attention, I'm going to bring it to your attention. Now, this here, I already have, but I ordered again. It's expensive, but it's worth it. For several reasons. I'll show you. Okay, do you see that? What that is called is black rice. It's not brown rice. It's not white rice. It's black rice. Where am I? Wandering eye. Here we go. And what's so special about this is, first of all, the color. Okay? Anytime you get into your deep purples, you like blueberries and those kind of things, right? Beets, they're not purple, but they're deep red, purple, you know, right? Your blacks, okay, with the seeds and or whatever, okay, rice or whatever. They have their own antioxidants that other food groups don't have. So as you're doing your food prep, every now and then dig into your pocket and go out of your way to buy things like this, because all you do is add a little of this into your regular white rice and you've boosted the nutritional value, okay? More than anything. And then of course there's calories involved, right? The thing about this rice compared to brown rice is if you put it in a jar, it will last for a long, long, long time. It won't go rancid because of the husk on the outside. Okay, that's the first thing. And then, this is expensive as well. More expensive than this. However, a little bit of this in your diet is a good thing too. Okay? So, again, put them in jars if you're going to store for any length of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bag, what's left. I've already jarred because I've done this once before. I told you I'm at my top up. So I already filled up one full jar, so I have two of them, plus whatever else is kicking around the house. And then this here is a lot, right? It would be simple. Take up 2 jars and I'm done. But I need these jars for something else. I'll show you in a minute. So these jars, what I'm going to do, I'm sorry, with this bag of rice, black rice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in quart-sized jars, 1 liter size jars, and I'm going to vacuum seal them. That's even better. If you can vacuum seal your jars, that's even better, okay? And that's how I'm going to store a case of that, or how many jars it will get me, which will be almost, I don't know, not quite a case, but maybe a case. That's 12 jars, anywhere from 8 to 12 jars, on top of whatever else I've got downstairs in Auntie Shemay's room. Same thing with these. I'm going to put them in quart-sized jars, and I'm going to vacuum seal them, and that's how they're going to go into long-term storage, because that is the best, okay? And it will last for a long, long, long. We're talking years and years and years. Okay, and then you just sprinkle it into your food. You can put that into desserts. You know, you can make a rice pudding, and you can add in this in between, whatever. Okay, there's lots of things that you can do with it. Okay, you can grind it up. You can make it into crackers. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. Okay, same thing with this. You don't have to take a whole cup and eat it like that, unless, of course, that's the kind of meal that you want to make. Use it more as a supplement to bring up that nutrient value. Okay, and minerals. That's what you use it for. Don't depend on white rice. That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? And if you're going to store anything that's outside of a white rice, go with your black rices, okay? Or your wild rices, because this one here has a husk on it. This one maybe not so much, but because of the way it is, it will stay in a jar for a very long time, especially if you vacuum seal, okay? Then, what we got here? So basically, I've got, this is 22 pounds, okay? I told you, I'm topping off. I'm mad because I'm tired and just, you know, I've got issues with why am I even on YouTube anymore, blah, 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 whatever. We'll get to that in a minute. So in the meantime, I've got something going on downstairs. I think I've already started a bucket with this. Whether it's full or not, I don't know, because I don't quite have my buckets completely organized yet, okay? But I do know I have one more bag, this bag, so that's 44 pounds of oat groats, okay? The more you can, it's very early in the morning, and I've been up since like 4:35, okay? And I haven't even started my day, and I've been working really hard. So anyway, 44 pounds in bags right now that need to go into a bucket, okay? Plus, I think I've already started a bucket. Whether it's full or not, I won't know until I go downstairs and reorganize and add in the other buckets and, you know, blah, blah, okay? Plus, I'm not done yet, okay? I also ordered through YouPick, because they sent me a 15% discount, and I said, fuck it, just get it over with. You're tired, you don't want to be messing with this in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months down the line. You just want to get it done with, because, you know, it's that top off, right? So I ordered, I'm pretty sure it's another 44 pounds of oat groats from YouPick, a different company. This one's from Organic Matters, but for the price, I compared the two, and it just made sense to pick it up now. Even if I have to buy a few more buckets, I will do that. I'll let you know in a week or so. I'm just kind of salvaging what I've got around the house, using up what I just bought. But as a top off, if I need another 4 or 5 more buckets, yeah, I'll go out of my way, and I'll buy them from Bryden Solutions, and I will be done, okay? So in the meantime, the reason I did that, okay, is because you've got quick oats, which you cannot store long term. Okay? Let me just put it on me for a second. Okay? And then we're going to go over to the buckets. Alright? So I got my room. Okay. So, in terms of oats, when it's a quick oat, you can't store it for long term. Just remember that. A rolled oat, you want the large rolled oat for anything for storage long term. Okay, now I already done that, and I put those, silly me, into 1 liter quart-sized jars. Whether I vacuum sealed them or not, I probably did, and they're all tucked away. But that's another day when I'll go in there and from jar to jar to jar, I'll empty, put it into something else, and then I got myself a whole brand new case of jars to do whatever I want, if I want. But in the meantime, they're sitting there, and they'll sit there for a very long time. Okay? And I'm pretty sure they're vacuum sealed. Okay? And then you can go into steel cut oats, which I do have. More than likely, well, I do, I'm pretty sure, in the paper bag, and then vacuum sealed with a vacuum sealer, okay, right? And then stacked in the box. I already showed you that, okay? And that's a steel cut oat, because the more you can go into the actual kernel or grain or whatever you want to call it for long-term food storage, the more success you're going to be having with it in terms of preserving that quality. Okay? So, fast forward a couple years later, now we've got available, because it wasn't available a couple of years ago, otherwise I probably would have bought it, okay? If I'm going to go off and buy steel-cut oats and put them in long-term food storage, if I would have seen these 2 years ago, I would have bought these, but they weren't available, but they are now. So this is why I'm buying them, because once I buy them, I don't need them anymore, okay? I will have plenty to last me for a very long time and enough to give to whoever needs it if they should come to me and say, oh, and I'm like, yeah, okay, well, here's this and here's that and, you know, whatever. Okay, so the whole groat oat comes hulled because the outside of that groat, which isn't really like a wheat kernel, I guess that's why they call it a groat, is toxic for humans. So they take off the outside of it and they just leave the kernel, the groat, in its whole form without flaking it for your convenience. For your convenience. Okay? That's right. For a commercial point of view, in terms of if you're going to sell it in a grocery store, how are you going to get people to eat it? They're definitely not going to want to cook whole groat oats for an hour when they can cook flake oats, whatever it is, within 2 minutes to 25 minutes, depending on the grade of the flake, right? The point is you want to have it in your pantry. And you want to have access to it in a year or 2 or 3 from now. Because if I couldn't find this particular product 2 years ago, and I'm only coming into contact with it now, what is that saying 2 years in advance when whatever these companies are selling right now, sell it off and maybe might not be able to get it back into stock? I don't have to worry about that, because in 2 years from now, I will have more than enough. Because I've got 44 pounds right here, this bag, there's another bag downstairs. I'm pretty sure I have another 22, if not more, pounds of that sitting already in a bucket, because I think I did that already. And then, you know, I went off and said, to hell with it, I'm just going to fill up one more bucket, 44 pounds, and I bought another 44 pounds. Because then going into these buckets, it's nice, and it's comforting, right? And it makes sense, okay? Because in 2 years from now, I don't want to be buying oat groats, never mind if I can find them, just like with that corn, right? You can't find corn in Canada like that anymore, right? And if some things, only certain companies will ship from the States. Not all companies, even though they might have a product, if I say, well, can you ship it to Canada, they can't do it because of the paperwork. So, you know, right? But if I ever want it, I already have some. So I'm not worried about it. Okay, so and then I ordered with the U-Pick coming in as a top off. Now I already have some of these because in November or October of last year I went to Nestor's. They were having the sale, whatever. I picked up all. Okay, so I've got beluga black beans, black beluga beans. Okay, you got your black turtle beans. You've got your black. Well, no, they're not beans, they're lentils. Black beluga lentils. Again, they've got that outer coating like a blueberry with the antioxidants, okay? And they're sproutable because they're organic. And I'm like, okay, well, what can you do with that? You know, because I don't eat a lot of lentils and stuff, but I will be. And I'm like, well, here, this is what you can do. You can sprout them, right? And then after the fact, you can just mix them right into your bread, or, you know, you can just do all kinds of, you know, make crackers with them, you know, sprout them, dehydrate them, grind them up, however, right? Doesn't matter. Point is that you have it. So, and you're buying it for a reason, to supplement anything that you might be lacking in your staples, okay? right? In terms of, there's only so many staples that you can have that bring in certain kind of nutrients, and sometimes you have to just go that little extra mile to top it off in terms of a complete meal. Okay? You have to get creative with it. So I got, I don't know, 25 pounds of that just to top off. And then I bought another box of dates. And I still have a box of dates. Oh, I don't know. I haven't even gotten into it to dehydrate it yet. But those dates I will be dehydrating. I'm going to start them whole first, put them on the trays, let them dehydrate. Then I'm going to chop them up, put them on the trays, and let them dehydrate. And that's how I'm going to store them for long term, outside of what I've already got, which in some of these jars I have. I was going to pack them in loosely and put them away, but I decided against that, in part because I have so much, and you know, space is valuable, right? So and also too, I push them down hard in the jar because then they kind of squish in, which will prevent molding. Not that dates would mold, but I'd be more concerned about a moth or some kind of pest in the jar before I would with molding. But in light of the space, I needed the jar space, so I pushed them in. Same thing with those organic raisins. Now, if you're going to buy organic raisins or just any kind of raisin, my advice to you is look for raisins without oil. Okay? The first batch I got, I guess it was from Organic Matters. I specifically chose a raisin without oil, instinctively. Okay? And I dehydrated them to a crisp, and I jarred them up, and I'm really satisfied with the end product, and I'm feeling confident that they will stay in a nice dormant state for a very long time, in the fact that, one, they're in a jar and they're put in a cool, dark place. Okay. Then I ordered those Sultana raisins twice. First batch I got was, I guess, non-organic. Okay, whatever. Almost immediately, I could tell it was, I don't want to say laced with oil, but yeah, it had a coating of oil on it, sunflower oil. And, you know, it's not what I wanted. However, I'm going to just make pies with them. So, for the most part, once I get into this, you know, cooking routine crap, right? That was the whole kind of idea of getting those raisins, right? And just, you know, just to have them on hand. So anyway, I dehydrated some I didn't. I put in jars, whatever. And then, you know, I got enticed for them to, you know, put another order in at 20% off, and I did that. And the next time I bought raisins, it ended up being the same type of raisin, only they were organic. Okay, fine. What's done is done. So they came, you know, opened up the box, and again, the oil. I can not only smell the oil, Andre can taste the oil, I can taste the oil, and, you know, so if you're going to do raisins, choose a raisin that has no oil. And if you're going to put it into long-term storage for any length of time, you know, it's just, if you got the time to do it, whatever, for sure, by all means, dehydrate them, make them crispy, throw them in your container, and they'll stay forever. But even if you don't, like I have a container over there, I have a container underneath there that has raisin in it. It's been in there for years and years and years and years and years and years, never dehydrated them, and they're still fine. So, you know, it's just a hit and miss. Do what you want when it comes to that, but by all means, don't buy raisins that have oil. Okay, save yourself the stress, right? Okay, so now we're going to go over here. I'm going to sit my butt down. I'm going to talk for a few minutes. Hold on a minute. Just hold on. Oh, yes, I forgot to mention I topped off with the whole milk. 22 pounds or something like that. How many pounds? I don't know. 10 key is 22 pounds, right? And then the skim milk powder. Okay, now I've done this. This is my third time. Okay, so I've got downstairs in quart-sized jars with lids on. I think I tried to vacuum seal either or. Maybe, you know, I know some of them pop, but it doesn't matter. it's either going to be good or it's not going to be good. I'm not too worried about it because I have a yard, and if worse comes to worse, I can sprinkle it in the dirt and add calcium to the dirt. I'm not sweating it. And honestly, it's been down in a cool, dark place. So more than likely it will be fine. But just in case it's not, I decided to top it off. Okay? You can see I bought 8 jars specifically for these 2 bags. Alright? But I'm going to have to order maybe 4 more to compensate. Well, no, because I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to avoid this. Although I've got those black beluga lentils coming in at 25 pounds. That's where you want these. Okay? This I can put into quart-sized jars, no problem. But I don't know if I want to do beluga lentils. I might just decide to go with the 1 gallon, right? Or maybe I'll settle for this temporarily just to save money, because I am on a mission. Now I'm going to talk and I'm going to end this video, okay? I'm on a mission to think about getting a lawyer for Amari. We already know that, right? You know, I'd love to get a lawyer for Uncle John. I'd love to get a lawyer for Auntie Shimei. I'd love to get a lawyer for Sierra or whoever, but, you know, Amari needs a lawyer more than anything right now. Right? Shimei will have a voice when the judge asks what happened to the mother of Amari. Same thing with Sierra. So, with that said, what I want to do, how about is I just show you this quickly, where I'm at, and then, because, I don't know, I can't say I never had a menopause, people. I never had time, worked too hard, was too busy, right? My period stopped when I was 40. Just stopped. I went to the, gynecologist, whatever. He did some tests on me. He just basically said my ovaries went to sleep. And that was it. Never had hot flashes, none of that crap. I was too busy. So maybe I'm in some kind of midlife crisis in terms of what is the purpose of me being on YouTube. Because outside of maybe communicating with a handful of people that appreciate the information that I give to them, even though it isn't always done with grace, I guess you could say, right? Because, I can bounce around with my emotions, right? And it kind of makes me look like I'm erratic sometimes, or, maybe a little, go away, Mickey, or a little, I don't know what you call it. So anyway, with that said, somebody made a comment on Truth Reality's video from 2019, Justice for Shimei, and she calls herself Trailer Trash Barbie. I'm like, okay, that's a very unusual username, but considering from where she comes from, she's probably and with her username, she's probably a very beautiful woman that got the short end of the stick in terms of, Barbies are beautiful, right? Or maybe it's a Barbie Ken and he's a handsome guy. Who knows? I'm assuming that this individual is a woman, right? And just because she came from a trailer park, and some people like to cast stones because, she below that income level, doesn't mean that she's not beautiful or has worth or whatever. So, okay. So anyway, she asked me how I was, right? And, you've seen what you've seen with this video in the beginning. I'm putting this in the middle. I'm not putting this first. I'm just following through and following up with this video because I'm like really debating whether I should put up what I've been prior to what you just seen, because, I don't like being negative, right? But I've been so cornered with so much negativity in my life that if I don't speak out and, or whatever. It just, it's like you become even a more victim to it. I don't want to be the individual that just accepts the lie, right? When I know it's a lie, right? And then it's compounds with another lie and another lie and another lie as I see my family life falling apart as my family members die, okay? That in itself is just, it's negative, right? And, I haven't been dwelling on it. I've been dwelling on this food prep, which I get a lot of flack for because it takes up fucking space and it clutters up and, and it takes time and like my kids, they don't see it as a necessity because I guess you can say their income levels can afford the cost of inflation. They can still keep up. You see, that's the thing. They can still keep up. They don't like it that they spend more money at the grocery store or whatever, but they're still comfortable with the fact that they can go do that. Well, and all that does, people, is it makes me think of my 60 years on this planet where sooner or later we all come into a struggle. Well, the good people, maybe not so much the bad people because they're always out there committing crimes and, right, and if anything bad happens to them, it's a bonus because they get paid for it, right, in terms of like illegal organ harvesting or murder for hire or fucking handling all the drug addicts out in the streets after they created the drug addicts and, like, in terms of heinous crimes against the general population, just whatever it is, right? And then families such as mine, we got caught up in that orchestrated, manufactured poverty. And then the ones holding down the fort, the parents, the adults that pay the bills, put food on the table, put a roof over their head, children's heads as they're growing up. We come into struggles. And we're obligated to follow through on whatever it is that we do. And even though it doesn't always measure up to our children's expectations, we're still there for them. And we take on the debt load. We take on the workload, we take on the burden, we take on the criticism, we take the punches, we take the hits, and my kids, they haven't even gone, I don't even like saying kids anymore, because I don't have kids anymore, people. I have a residue of a family that I'm left with just a couple of adult children, right? That are like, haven't come into their own personal struggle yet in terms of being prepared for when the shit really hits the fan. Like my son, for example. Okay? He works, he's a tree cutter, he makes good money. Like, he tells me, Mom, I make good money. And I'm like, cool, that's great. Why you chose to be a tree cutter, I don't know, but right? God bless you and don't fall off the tree, right? Because God forbid if I lose another son or a child, right? Another child, right? Another, what else do you call them? Kids, right? And he has himself. That's it. Now, he did go to college. He didn't take my advice, do as I told him to do. Instead, he did something else. He racked up his student loan, so he has to pay that back. So it dips into his income, but it's not enough to bankrupt him. It's not enough to make him homeless. It's not enough where he can't afford to go out and feed himself. He never had to feed 5 kids and Uncle John, and including himself. I did, people. Okay, that was my responsibility. So when times got hard, I had to find ways to make sure that everybody got fed. Where if my son comes into a hard time because he's got to do a double payment on his student loan, he still has that residue income to go to the grocery store and pay X exorbitant amount of money for whatever he wants to frickin' eat. Right? And at this point in his life, he's comfortable with that, because he can still meet that expectation. But what happens if him and his girlfriend end up having some children, more than one, And then that responsibility becomes more poignant, where you either going to be responsible or you're not. And if you're going to be responsible, you're going to do what you need to do to make sure that your family has food no matter what. Okay? Then maybe then he might start prepping and take this shit more serious, because he's got mouths to feed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Where right now all he's got is himself, and he's partnered up with his girlfriend to share the expenses. He pays low rent for what he does, what he gets in terms of, I don't want to say living at home, right? Because he's trying really hard to be independent and away from mom, so much so that he has no patience for me. Instead of resenting me because you can't go off and get your own fucking place, because you can't afford $3,000 a month for even a decent place to live at. Instead, you have to stay at home with mom and her ways. Right? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he can still afford to look after himself. Right? And he will never know what that struggle is. This is what I'm trying to say. He will never know what the struggle is until he comes and walks in my shoes. I don't expect him to have 5 children to fully realize what it means to walk in my shoes all these years. But even 2 or 3 might open up his eyes in terms of preparing for the struggle. But you see, even if he came into the struggle, people, I already got his back. That was the whole point of the exercise. Right? He won't have to worry for a very long time. Okay? Same thing with Tisha. Because I only got 2 kids really left. My older son, Brooks, he's like a nemesis. You know, he calls me up 3/4 of the time drunk or obnoxious and just wants to pick a fight, call names, you know, whatever, call me names, just because of his wet brain from drinking all these years and his own impotency to be able to be a decent son to me and a decent sibling to his brother and sister, right? Because the drinking interfered with his personal relationships, and he gets angry, and every now and then he tries to take it out on me, and I'm like, fuck off, click, right? Once in a blue moon, we can copacetic it with each other, but for the most part, I can't depend on him for nothing, people, for nothing, absolutely nothing. So it's like a void where I don't have a son. I have somebody that says they're my son, but he doesn't act like my son. Where my younger son, Marcane, acts like my son, but is resentful towards me. Because life didn't unfold the way he wanted it to unfold. Okay? And he's got to take it out on somebody. And he takes it out on me. But he's still there for me. Okay? And when I go blind, he will be there for me. And he will be there for Amari. What he's going to do with us, I don't know. All I know is I've only got one son really there for me. Okay? But he hasn't experienced the struggle yet with what I have. So he would never fully understand why I do this, especially in this time. Because I'll tell you, if it wouldn't have been for what our governments have been doing for the last couple of years, I wouldn't have taken it to this extreme, because I am not a middle-class household income where I can afford to do this crap. It was done out of necessity and as self-perseverance and preservation, and to have that mechanism of personal survival, right, with the tools that you need in order to survive. Considering what our governments are doing, and I speak firsthand from experience, and that's the problem. That's what my kids don't understand. They take it for granted that the government isn't going to come after them after I'm dead and repeat the process of what they've been doing to my family in general all these years, and they haven't quit because they've just gone into millions of other households and are doing it with them now. And the middle class is slowly but surely falling apart. It took them a while to catch up to my freaking standards, for them to fully realize what the struggle is about. Okay, Tisha, same thing. I say, Tisha, don't you worry about going to the grocery store with everything going up so high? Oh no, I just pay. Huh? And I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen when it gets real expensive? Well, that's life. You know, I'll just deal with it then. Huh? You know, right? I got a few cans tucked away in my apartment under the bed. That's my food storage. You know, that's all I can do, right? And I'm not worried. I can afford what I need, even though I don't like it, right? But in the back of her mind, I'm telling you, just like with my son, in the back of their minds, well, if the shit really did hit the fan and we weren't prepared, Mom was. And the only reason Mom was is because I understand the struggle. Been there, done that many times in the past, people. So when I leave this planet, I want to make sure I leave something behind. Okay? In terms of something that has substance, right? And that's why I have a problem with freaking YouTube. Because not only does YouTube shadow ban my channel after all these years, you know, they're like vipers in waiting, ready to pounce at any moment, to snag into another video, to delete it, to strike me, to keep that scandal fucking activity going, right? In terms of whatever, right? You know, because, you know, it's disgusting. So anyway, you know, I'm like at that crossroads where I'm kind of like at a midlife crisis here, like in terms of YouTube, like, you know, it's I can't pretend to be somebody I'm not, people. I can't get up on this fucking camera and pretend that I'm happy. You know, I look at these other YouTube channels and, you know, and they don't touch base on nothing outside of, well, this is how you can that, and this is that, and, oh, sure, we can talk a little bit about, you know, the shortage of this and the shortage of that, and, you know, we're coming into high inflations, but other than that, that's all we're going to do is just scratch the surface. We're not going to get deep and dirty and get emotional about what's really going on around us when it comes to our governments destroying families. Okay, and capitalizing off that manufactured poverty that they create. I sound like a broken fucking record. A record that nobody wants to listen to anymore. So if that's the case, what is the point of being on YouTube? So I can pretend that I'm happy? Yeah, okay. No, I can't pretend. You see, that's the problem. And that's why I was like reluctant to maybe put this video up. Because, you know, I don't want to appear to be negative when I'm doing such positive fucking things. But yet I'm being criticized from it from my own kids because they themselves have not had the struggle, right? I've made it for them to a point where they haven't had to struggle, or they've made it for themselves where they don't have to struggle. So they think. But they're both quite young, okay? And Tisha's only, what, 24 or something like that? Marcane is, I think, 30 now, okay? And like I said, I have no real relationship with my older son. And that's what he chooses, right? You know, it's like my grandmother took me up to heaven on the night that she died. And she specifically told me, I am not living with all my kids. And when you need to go back, like to earth, right? Go back because it's not your time to leave. But I will see you again. But understand that where I am up there, I'm not living with all my kids. She gave me a warning. It's the same thing with me. I don't plan on living with my son, Brooks, after death. My middle son, my younger son, I don't know. It's hard to say. He pisses me off too much because he's a bully. He's a freaking bully. You know, he uses me as his doormat to expel his displaced anger at the world. right? And I feel like the only time he's ever going to really appreciate me is after the fact of when I'm dead and gone and the shit really hits the fucking fan, and he's going to go into Auntie Shimei's room and he's going to look around, and that's when it's going to hit him, and he's really going to fucking realize what I freaking did for him. Same thing is true for Tisha. So Shelly, don't be afraid to walk on that road, because it's worth it no matter what. Okay? So, Trailer Trash Barbie asked me how I'm doing. Well, this shit's taken a toll on me. Okay? In terms of, I lost my eyesight with that cloudy shit and whatever in April of last year. On the 19th or whatever of April 22nd, I was doing ghee. On the 22nd, I was recording those shenanigans with those RoboCops blowing out the house across the street. By the 27th, I was like, holy shit, Tisha, I need to get to an eye clinic because I can't freaking see. When she took me out to go to the bank, everything was so cloudy, and I never recovered since then, people. Okay? So for almost a half a year, more than a half a year, I've been living in a fog, and it's kind of wearing me down. It really is. And at any moment I could wake up and it could be completely black. You see, that's the thing, because we're dealing with optic nerves here that are on the blink of going out. Okay? So I'm out at the end of my food prep. That's why I'm pushing so hard here, because I just want it done, because they want to book me in for surgery, actual eye surgery. We're not talking laser surgery, we're talking eye surgery. And I'm so full of fluids up in here, in my chest, in my nose, that I might not wake up, people. Okay? I'll be like, under sedation, and they'll put me on a vent. Right? Give me some medication, and I'll be dead. Alright? Because that's what British Columbia, Canada is about. And then they'll falsify my medical records, and they'll say that I requested for assisted suicide, and they just thought they'd save themselves a little bit of money and kill me then and there, okay? And then blame me for it. That's how crooked this province is. Don't underestimate the devil, okay? And their kind, alright? Do people on YouTube want to hear that shit? No. But that's the reality of it, alright? Basically. So in the meantime, I'm finishing up, and so let me just get this out. So, you know, I've been questioning myself, what is the purpose of these videos from this point forward? Right? I don't want to recreate the wheel, right? But then at the same time, I don't want to drop the ball. I don't want to sound perpetually freaking negative, but there's too many negative things still going on in my life for me not to talk about negative things or to react negatively to negative things, right, in terms of my emotions that, get a little flamboyant or whatever. And Trailer Trash Barbie, well, how you doing? Well, I don't know, And then I'm thinking, well, it's like getting a little reminder, after this is all said and done, because I only give myself 2 weeks. I already told Andre I got 2 more weeks. I got this last order coming in, the big order. I may have to order just a few more buckets if I can't scrounge around the yard to find them. I've got the extra lids, but I don't necessarily, I want buckets that don't smell inside, Shelly. Okay, just because it's a used bucket doesn't mean it might not smell. We got a bucket over there that needs to be bleached out, and even then, I don't know if it will ever bleach out. What was in it? It was a bucket that I found from outside back in the day. And it's a food grade bucket, but it was just outside somebody's house. It had no lid on it, but it must have had a vinegar or something in it. Ingredients: water, wheat, soya beans, salt, sodium benzenate, Yamasa soya sauce. No wonder why the bucket freaking smells. That's why, okay? Do you see? So even though it's a food bucket, depending on what was in it, you might not ever get the smell out. So, you know, if you have to, go off and buy good buckets. It'll be worth it. Give yourself 2-3 years. Hopefully you'll have 2-3 years. For your sake, I hope you have 2-3 years to do this. Because you have to spread it out. Right? So, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I'm at the end of my rope with YouTube. I don't even know if it's worth it anymore. I'm tired of being on lockdown. I'm tired of being publicly humiliated. I'm tired of being stalked with YouTube condoning it, right? In terms of Julian's sister with her tagging of New Nations Unity and creeping my yard and killing my plants and digging in my dirt and robbing potatoes and sending in her fucking freaks and all this other shit that goes on around this bitch, okay? Right? As YouTube props her up through the search engine, right? And, you know, I don't necessarily want to be negative all the time, but then on the same hand, I can't pretend that I'm positive or that I'm happy or whatever, because I'm not. You know, I try to, not try, because naturally I am positive. If I wasn't positive a person, I wouldn't do this kind of shit, okay? That's the first thing. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm happy or you know, 24/7. Who's happy 24/7? And even if you're not happy 24/7, I'm probably only happy a quarter of the time. Where most people are maybe happy, hi, or most people are probably happy a half of the time to 3/4 of the time, depending on their income level. And the ones that are real happy are the rich motherfuckers, okay? They're the happiest. Because they can go off and do whatever horrid thing that they want and get away with it. So who wouldn't be happy? Like snuff movies and murder and, you know, just whatever they do, right? They do all kinds of crazy crap. Torture people, that's all they do. So I'm like, okay, well, how am I? Well, I've been busy. I'm at a crossroads with YouTube. I don't know what to do with this channel. I really don't. Sure, I bought a food mill. I really want to do videos around that. I really want to sprout my black beluga lentils and do a video around how I'm going to combine it into my homemade sourdough bread or whatever, right? Which is all positive, right? But what's the narrative? Well, we know how the narrative can go in my videos, to which a lot of people don't like and probably see it as redundant, right? And therefore, that's an excuse to continue shadow banning my channel and keep me on lockdown. So that's that psychological warfare going on in my head in terms of, well, I'm really wasting my time because there's not too many people paying attention, and, you know, it's nothing that they can do to help me with it. So what's the point of going on and on and on and on about it? You're just stressing yourself out, right? And but because she posted on Truth for Reality's video, it brought Shimei back up to the top. And I'm like in Auntie Shimei's room. And like, you know, I don't know. They took out a soldier in terms of fighting for justice for Shimei when it comes to that paperwork, people. Right? Not to mention, I have a disabled child and just whatever, right? And, but the fight isn't over yet. So, that's what Trailer Trash Barbie did. She brought Shimei back up to the forefront of my mind. And I'm like, okay, well, you've got this channel. People still asking how things are going. You know, like, you got to keep up with that good fight, even if it's negative and people don't like it. That's too bad. Just, you know, like, don't drop that ball, you know, don't be a quitter, right? Go to the last breath, take that last step, whatever it is, do what you got to do in order to get that message out there so that other lives can, one, be saved, and for the ones that are lost, that their lives weren't lost in vain. Because currently, right now, we've got over 100,000 people in the United States of America, regardless of from where they come from, all deciding to wake up one day and kill themselves by accident or by suicide. Not one of them, not one, was murdered by fentanyl. Only Shimei. Only Shimei was murdered by fentanyl. But everybody else around her, no. Doesn't matter if they're in British Columbia, Canada, or all across the United States of fucking America. Okay? They all did it to themselves. And that's what the cops want me to believe about what happened to Shimei. And this is what I gotta say to them. Serious. Am I gonna get to Shimei's paperwork right away? No, I'm not. Because I gotta do this for the next 2 weeks hardcore. And be bitchy about it, because I'm lifting fucking heavy shit here by myself, people. To make it easy for my son so he doesn't have to struggle. But I'm sure once I get into Auntie Shimei's room and make a little space for these buckets, I'll be like, son, please, I got a space. They're not piling up in the hall. Don't worry. Just go upstairs, grab these buckets, and put them right there for me. He'll grumble. He won't like it, but he'll do it for me. And then it's done. And all I have to do is just organize Shimei's room. That's all. And when I'm getting out all that fabric, anything that's not food related, I'm taking out. I still got a couple of more bins in there of fabric. I've got a big round bin of, I don't know, dowels, long dowels, just, you know, miscellaneous things. Take that out, and then that gives me a little wall to stack up buckets or whatever. And I'm telling you, once it's done, people, it's going to be like so fly. So fly. It'll be worth it. And then that's after the fact. I get to clear out more out here. But, you know, it's hard, right? You know, I'm battling more than one battle here, people. So, yeah. I don't have time to do Shimei's paperwork right now. And honestly, I'm probably just going to file another lawsuit. I have this stuff on appeal. What the government do, they put me on notice, an appearance of notice, a notice of appearance or something. They're waiting for me to respond to their notice of appearance. Okay? And then they're going to do the same shenanigans that they did like with Judge Ross on MS Team. Yeah, okay. Right? That's what's going to happen. So I figure, you know, hopefully April, May, this will all be done. I'll try and attempt to respond to the appeal. I'm not spending a lot of money on it, that's for sure. And I'd rather spend that money on another lawsuit because there is no statute of limitation on murder. As far as I'm concerned, Uncle John was murdered through manslaughter. Shimei was definitely murdered. And Sierra was lured to her death and then murdered. Where Amari was intentionally injured at the time of his birth for their research studies and that type of shit. And illegal organ harvesting when his time comes because his life expectancy is only 45 years. As his family is falling apart at the seams. I'm sorry. Why else would you have a YouTube channel if you can't talk about what's important to you? Unless, of course, you want to pretend and be somebody that, what, you are, so that you can get views and get money and get popular or whatever, right? You know? Just whatever. So that's where I'm at with video making. So let's finish this now. I'm in my little cubby. Okay. I'll just right here. So, what do we got? I can't see with these glasses. So, I'm going to put some white beans in these because I got 2 bags, you can see. Okay, I'm tired. I don't got time to put them in paper. I would prefer them in paper bags and vacuum sealed, but I'm not doing that because I don't have time. So to keep it simple on myself, I'm taking 1 full bag. This is a 5-gallon bucket. This is a 6-gallon bucket. I prefer 6-gallon buckets, but I'm down to just what I have. So this one's a good bucket. This is a new bucket. So I'm using the Mylar bag with the Ziploc because it's just easier for me. And I'm debating about whether I want to put it in with the bag. Now, what I'm finding with Organic Matters is they're coming in with their own, the bags are coming in with a kind of a spice smell. So wherever they have their bags, they have a lot of spices. So I might just take this out. I'm not worried about it because I can order again if I want to, okay? I will probably just empty this straight up in here, although I would prefer it to be in a paper bag. But it's questionable, you know, if I don't like a bucket that has a smell to it because of what was in it before, why would I want to use a bag that has a smell in it because of where it was, you know, stored initially, okay? But as you can see, I have 2 bags. So this one in here, go down, and then these ones, to keep it simple on myself, I've got 2 gallons and 1 gallons. So whether I put them in 1 gallon or 2 gallon bucket bags, that's how I'm going to deal with that problem. Okay? And that is Cantatelli beans, organic. Okay? And then here we've got those chickpeas that have to go down. We've got the northern, the great northern white bean. These are not organic, although I bet you they would sprout. So we'll do an experiment with that one day. Okay, just because something is not organic when it comes to a bean doesn't mean it won't sprout. This is good for blood sugar. And as a base for other foods as well as this too. This bean here, the Cantatelli bean, releases energy slowly into the bloodstream so you don't get those spikes, okay? Which helps to control diabetes. Or to help prevent it if you can get yourself onto a diet that is specifically geared for that purpose, right? And if you can prevent spikes in blood sugar, then you can cut back on seizures for people that are subject to seizures. Right? So those are 2 beans that you want. Okay? And then, so we know this is getting, and now if you notice, orange, 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 beans, beans, beans. Now we're going into our greens, which are our wheats. There should be a label on this. Or maybe I didn't. Okay, I didn't put a label on this, so I got to do this today. These are heavy. Right? This is hard white spring wheat. Hard white spring wheat. What is this? See, I'm already fucking forgetting. Oh my lord. It's in a bag, isn't it? Oh yes, spelt. This is spelt. I have to put spelt on here on the outside. Okay, so we've got the hard white, we've got the spelt, and I've got spelt downstairs. Okay. Spelt, again, is good for blood sugar, and it's the most easiest wheat to digest out of all wheats. But you have to use it sparingly in proportion with whatever you're making, because it doesn't have a high, you know, it doesn't rise very well. And then I already showed you what I've got up on the stove. I already told you what I've got coming in. That's my last order until everythhy's done. Until Auntie Shimei's room is completely organized. I clear out my kitchen, do whatever I gotta do, and then that's when, hopefully, if I can still see people, assuming that I can still see people, I will attempt to get back into the paperwork for my family. I'm not even going to say Shemay. I'm going to just say for my family. Right? And work on paying down bills so that I can go get a lawyer. And if I had to choose between what I've already done in court by myself or get that lawyer for Amari, I'd go for Amari. Right? Because after I'm gone, there's not going to be too many people fighting for Amari like I fight for Amari. And even then, my fight's been pretty weak. Okay? I'm trying, but I'm just not strong enough to do it on my own people. And the older Amari gets, the more at risk he becomes a victim to government and their agendas. Okay? And my kids will be helpless to stop it because they won't have the coping mechanisms or the resources or the tools to fight back and to maintain on raising Amari, looking after Amari, right? So, but yeah, definitely file another lawsuit. I can still do that, even if I fight for Amari with a lawyer. The lawyer can fight for Amari, and I'll just file another lawsuit on my own and do a solo until I can't do it no more. Yeah. Yeah. But I won't have to worry about food, that's for sure. And I don't have to worry about my kids going hungry, right? For any reason, really. When the struggle comes, you see, there has to be the struggle first. For them, they don't have the struggle yet. It would be interesting to know if they can go through life and breeze through without ever having to really struggle in the way I've struggled. Okay? Or other people struggle. Alright? So, that's it. It's the end of this video. But, before I go, I want to show you this, and this is why I get mad. Do you see this? Hold on a minute. That's where my feelings get hurt. It's dusty, because it's been outside. It needs to be washed. Remember my big pot? And all that kahuffle? Well, that was on top of the big pot. I asked them to leave the big pot alone. They left the big pot alone, but they ended up taking this and putting it outside. After I seen that that was missing, I never took that pot back downstairs and put it back where it was. Okay? As if I got room. But besides that point, when I was in the garage, I came across this. And this is why I get so angry. Because you tell me what's wrong with this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Oh God, this is wet. Because it's been outside. Well, I'm glad I looked at it. I just brought it in like 2 days ago. It's funny, I carried it up. I didn't even realize there was fucking water in it. That should be fine. But you want to make sure it's completely dry before you plug it in. Oh God, now my hands are all gross. Oh, anyway, that's what I mean. Like, trash my life. Like, why? Why? Right? That's the part I don't understand. This is where it's, you know, it just doesn't make sense to me.